Hey everybody, what's up? I'm No Arrows, and today I'm going to look at Cry Havoc by Simon Spurrier and Ryan Kelly. And this comic comes from Image, and it's sort of hard to know how to categorize it because it's a war comic, but there's also fantasy elements and horror elements. It's non-linear. Well, I want to say it's non-linear, but it's more like trilinear because you have three stories that are running parallel to each other, and they all tell the story of this girl here, Lou, who is they show three different segments of her life, but each of these segments progresses linearly. So so basically she is like a mythical creature, which I guess is sort of like a parallel to a werewolf. Like, she can transform into this gigantic beast. And the comic kind of tells three different segments of her life. It tells, in blue here, an early part of her life where she just finds out that she has this power, and then it tells, in red here, this segment where... Okay, wait, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me go back a little bit. There, hold on. Okay, now in sort of white or like neutral tones, it kind of shows her a bit later in her life where she is a soldier who's being used for her abilities to track down this woman who has the same power as her, or who also has these mythical powers. And she's with a platoon of other people who also have these myth powers, and they're basically looking for this woman who, I guess, went rogue or is doing bad stuff. And then there is, in red, let's see if I can find the red part. Okay, then we're in red, and this is where this shows in a later point in her life where she has been captured by the woman that she's looking for, and and if I go any further than that, we start getting into spoiler territory. But it's very complex. It's very interesting. I probably need to reread it, actually, to get a full bearing on the mythology of the comic and the sort of the lore of it, because it's very complex, what exactly these mythical beings are. That, here's one guy who can sort of send out a swarm of locusts, and then there's this other girl who can send out her guts to she basically turns herself inside out, and all of her organs are I guess she can control them. And then there's this other Viking guy, or I shouldn't say he's a Viking. He's just a Nordic guy, and he can turn into this hog, this gigantic pig, or what's a boar. That's the word I'm looking for, not a hog or a pig. Even though I guess they're kind of the same thing, but yeah, you can see three of them going right there, or four. And it's I'm not sure I completely have a grasp on it, but I basically do. Basically, it's basically it's just what I said. They're they're kind of being used by the U.S. government for their abilities, and basically the government promises them that as long as they help them in a military sense, then the government then has I don't know if I shouldn't say the government, because they must be with the government, right? Because they're tied to the military. So yeah, they're saying that if they help them, if these mythical people help them, then the government will help cure them of their their beastly side and help make them normal people again. And yeah, it's pretty interesting. And there's see, there she is after she returned. This is in her past. She returned to human, after she mutilated some dude in her beast form. So yeah, it's interesting for sure. It's definitely something different. The art is just good. It's very well, I shouldn't say it's just good. It's very good. It has sort of it has a lot of bright colors despite the horrific tones to it, despite the horrific things that are happening. And so it's I'm just jumbling over my words here. I have no idea. And that gives it kind of a retro vibe. It feels like something you'd read from. It feels like it gives me an 80s vibe almost. Thinking, it makes me think of the pre-Vertigo books, Swamp Thing or Animal Man or Sandman. They had that. They were going in a very visceral direction with their art, but at the same time, they were limited in their color palettes to using very bright colors, and so it gave those books a really unique look. And I have the feeling that's what they were going for with this, and it works pretty well. And I don't know. I like the comic for sure. It definitely gets a recommendation from me, and I need some coffee or something.